Supernatural Season 15, Episode 12, Galaxy Brain. So we are finally back from the large hiatus that we've had. Unfortunately, before I get into my review, the very first thing I have to mention, of course, for those of you who don't know at least, we are going to be going into another hiatus due to the amazing coronavirus that we are currently dealing with. Perhaps we are one of the, more meticulous planets that Chuck has to wipe out, and it takes a bit more time. So, unfortunately, production has currently halted because of the coronavirus for the show. So, who knows how many episodes they already have done. I didn't see that in the article that I originally read, so I have to check out some more information on that specifically. But for now, we're back. But they have halted production, so it's going to take a bit more time before we actually get into the official ending of the show. We're going to have a few more breaks. So, excuse me, that is very unfortunate. But for anyone who didn't know that, just wanted to hit you with that now so you weren't surprised a couple weeks down the line, like, why are we going into this big hiatus? You probably already would have assumed anyway. But just in case, it was already officially announced. And I believe that was last week, if not like a week and a half ago or something like that. So that is unfortunately where we are. But to get into this episode, which was a great episode, it was a great episode. I actually loved it. I thought it was really fun to watch. It was another episode that made me super mad that we didn't get the Wayward Sisters spinoff, which I feel like they reference as far as failed spinoffs and stuff like that. Obviously, Bloodlines, which I don't think too many people care too much about. As someone who just likes the story, I'm curious, whatever did happen to that guy's dad? Why wasn't he really dead? We'll never know because nobody cared. But the Wayward Sister one, that still bugs me. The Grigori thing, I was like, that could have been a season in itself. But Kaya does come back in this. We find out that she's actually been alive this whole time. Her clone, like her evil version, is actually able to see what she can see. Like they've been connected because they were born at the same time, just in different worlds. So I thought that was really interesting. It was like, she's actually alive. She's been alive this whole time. Jodie, of course, is in this episode. We don't get Claire in this episode, but I assume with them bringing back Kaya, I'm like, all right. I don't know if they're going to do the Grigori thing. I mentioned that when they referenced them in the last episode. I was like, they have to bring Claire into the show to just wrap up that little storyline. Like, even if it was just a quick one episode thing, I feel like they could do 2 episodes and just take out the last couple. They could just be like, yep, they slowly died off and there's maybe like 3 or 4 left. Or that guy could have been one of them. So maybe there's only 3 left. They deal with all 3 of them for just 2 episodes, or maybe even 3, 1 per episode. I would love that. I'd be totally fine, even if it wasn't like the full crazy deal where it's like 13 and they go through all the swords and all that stuff. I'd be fine with it if it was just like they were able to wrap up that storyline, and I feel like they will, because I also feel like them bringing in Kaya, I'm like, all right, they're clearly wrapping up some stuff. They totally could have been like, she's dead, and maybe they would have if it weren't for the fact that they were doing, the spinoff didn't work. They probably wouldn't have brought her back. So that I was curious about, because I was like, would they have just killed her, or killed like the evil version of her, or, how would that have played out? Because even in the last season, I was like, would any of this be happening to Sam and Dean if we'd gotten the crossover? Like, would she even have interacted with them, with the staff and all that stuff? So there are a lot of questions where I'm like, that totally could have been different if the crossover got picked up, or the spin. I keep saying crossover, but if the spin-off got picked up, that probably would have been totally different to begin with. So it's hard to tell what they already had set up and what's going to happen in the pipeline. But I would hope that with them bringing Kaya back, them ending off like the evil clone version of herself as, her world got wiped out, that they go into, because of course we're going to have like slight filler episodes and stuff like that. So if the filler episodes are at least what we could have gotten from the spinoff, I would love that, especially if it was the Grigori thing, because I have been waiting for that. I swear that was like 7 seasons. I don't know. I feel like that was 7 seasons ago at this point. I'm like, man, I've been waiting for them to bring that up for so long, because I was like, that is such a amazing concept, and it just vanished. And I was just waiting, and I was like, oh, crossover, perfect. Crossover, cancel. I keep saying crossover also, but you know what I meant. And so I've just been waiting over and over again. So I hope that we do get that for at least an episode. At the very least, just 1 episode. They finish it off. The Grigori get killed. And it's just a thing, and Claire just gets to have that storyline, and we get that Wayward Sisters episode. I would hope we get more than 1. That I think would be even cooler. Like I said, if we got like 3 cool episodes, that'd be fantastic. We wouldn't get the full series like we all hoped we would, but at least we'd have that small piece. We'd have, of course, last season where they kind of introduced the concept of it, and then this could be them kind of rounding it out. Like this episode in particular could be a part of it, bringing Kaya back, and then just a couple more episodes where everyone works together, with it not being the spinoff, Sam and Dean would still be involved, but it would be really cool. I would love to see that. I don't know if that'll happen, but I was really hoping for that because I was like, they already have so much content with just Claire as a character has so much. Like, I couldn't believe it when I was watching it. It blew my mind that I didn't realize it. But Jodie had never met Cass, and I was like, that's insane. And they had an amazing moment where Cass was like, I think you should stay back. And they have this conversation where it's like, I can't fix what I've done. Like what I took from her is gone. Like her father is dead a million times over. Like Cass has died. They even reference it. They're like, you're just Cass. Like this body, it's just him. It's just this angel who's been dead and revived and dead again and filled full of leviathans and dead and revived and evil and all these things. It's just Cass. It's not her dad. It's just this angel now. And it's like, I can't fix what I've done. But if she lost you, if things happen to fail and you happen to get hurt as we also fell, then that would just completely destroy her. And I thought that was a really cool moment. And I would love to have more scenes with the two of them together, which hopefully we do get that. If they do kind of those final couple of Wayward Sister episodes, we could have that. We could have more, Cass and Jodie. I think that would actually be really cool. But it blew my mind. I was like, I can't believe they have never met. It just didn't occur to me because, at this point, literally the final season, the last thing I'm thinking is, oh, you two haven't met yet. I'm like, everybody knows everybody. Everybody has been resurrected. Like, that's in my head. Everyone's just so, so super tight knit. And it's like, we've never met before. And I was like, when he said it, I was just like, holy crap, that is crazy to me. So I love that moment. I guess that was like the middle of the episode, but I thought it was a really great moment. So I really enjoyed that. The episode as a whole was really entertaining. I knew what was going to happen. It was like, all right, Jack made a promise. Or, well, technically, Sam and Dean made a promise. And then Jack being, the hero that he is, we went through the hero's conundrum. He had a really cool cast moment where he threatened the Reaper, where it was like, okay, go ahead and tell Billie, this thing and see what happens. She got classically manipulated because that is how everyone gets manipulated in every show ever. When they're like the bodyguard or whatever, they always freak out that the boss is going to be super pissed. And it's like, in her case specifically, I was like, she can literally teleport. I don't understand how it's instantaneous. She could have said something way before he was actually able to pull that off. So she really got manipulated, but I knew what was going to happen. They have the conversations. Evil Kai is really pissed off. It's like, we need to rescue her and I want to go back home. So it's like, all right, hero's conundrum. They figure it all out. They hop over. Whatever the crazy red-eyed demons were, they were freaking out because of the giant world-ending storm. So they take off. Nothing really happened. I thought that we were going to have like a crazy moment. And it was just like, it's just a cool thing. So they take off. They find Kaya. And that was it. It was like, hey, let's go. And it's like, no, this is my world. I have to stay, even though it's ending. And so they get back and everything's kind of cool. And I was like, all right, this was pretty nice. And then we have, of course, Chuck. With the very beginning of this episode, he goes into the store. And so I was like, oh, I need an audience. And I was like, well, this is bad. I knew it was going to be bad for that kid. As soon as he went in that store and he said, I need an audience, I was like, this kid is toast. I thought he was going to just snap him out of existence, but at least he made it quick and he didn't even see it coming. I guess he wouldn't have seen it coming if he did the snap either. He wouldn't have been like, he's about to snap. But yeah, he's wiping out all the worlds. And I find it really interesting that he needs to do that. Or at least he feels the need to do that. He wants to. It's like, I could have anything I want from all these other Sams and all these other Deans, but they aren't the Earth One's Sam and Dean. And I thought that was really interesting. And it's like, he's wiping out planets left and right. It's like, some, it's super easy. Hit him with an explosion, hit him with a plague, do this, do a giant storm. But some are a bit more meticulous. It takes a little bit more time. And I thought that was really interesting. And so he's going through, and, of course, as he's about to leave, it's like, I got a little bit more work to do. And the guy's like, but you're going to spare us, right? And he's like, you got nothing to worry about. I assumed he was just not even going to bother and was just going to kind of snap him out of existence right there. But he's walking away, and I was like, either this building's about to blow up, which technically it did. It's because the way they had it framed, I was like, it looks like the building's about to explode behind him. And it did, because you just start seeing comets crash down onto this planet. And it's like, well, that sucks. And just the kid gets wiped out. At least it was instantaneous. He gets wiped out, and just like the whole planet's just hit with comets, and that, and I believe it said it was Earth too. They're just wiped out. He had the kid stuck there for weeks watching him as he destroys other worlds and does his Chuck thing where he just whines and complains, and then he wipes the kid out because he's Chuck, and there's that. I just don't know. So Chuck's doing some weird stuff. I can't wait to see how that plays out. Billie seemingly has a plan. She was also super pissed, which I loved at the end of this episode. I was very surprised that she was in it because, they're going through and it was like, oh, well, if it didn't work, then Chuck would have figured this out because the wording wouldn't have held up and he would have sensed, the magic. And then I was like, okay, well, they're safe. But I was like, just something felt weird. I was like, all right, well, they're technically protected because if Chuck showed up, it would be way too fast. Like, it would just be like, how could they possibly have made that work? Because he would have been like, nope. And he would have got rid of Jack super quick because it would have been a challenge, period. He would have wiped that out. So I was like, something's about to happen here. I feel weird. I felt weird. And then we just see a scythe come through her back, and then she's toast. And then here's Billie, extremely pissed. It was like, she had one job, she failed, and so she's gone. I actually did one thing. You have to, just listen to the plan, which we don't know what it is. And they brought up some amazing questions in this episode where they don't know what her plan is, but they don't have much of a choice. They don't even know if she's truly correct because they talk about the Malik box and how she was wrong there, but she was right about Rowena, which I think I've been mentioning before. It was like, this whole destiny thing is super weird because sometimes it's right and then other times it's not. Because the whole point of Dean being possessed was the fact that it was like, there's no way to stop this. Put him in a box and drop him in the ocean. That's it. And they fixed it. They figured it out. But the whole thing with Rowena was correct. She knew that she was going to die by Sam's hand, which is why she specifically chose Sam. And it was just like, what is destiny in this show? Like, what is set in stone? And it's just so weird. Like, I think they did that on purpose just to F with us, to be like, well, clearly Rowena knew her destiny and that was it. But it's like, if you know your destiny and you choose that path, does that make it destiny? If you know destiny and then you switch, is it something else? A billion questions. Because it's like, what's destiny? What just happens to be right? Because why are there a million books for Dean? Like, when he was there, it's like he had all these books of how he could die. So what does that mean? What is destiny then? Like, it just, there are a million questions. Like, are those the other Earths? Where they currently being wiped out? And even God has a book himself, which I love that reference because they did say that. I had always kept that in my head. I was like, they can totally do it because they said as soon as Death first showed up, the first big thing, and I actually mentioned this when I was doing my reaction for it. I was like, man, I remember being in high school talking to a buddy of mine, like, man, did you see that episode? Death was like, he's gonna reap God. Like, we were talking about Supernatural in high school, and we were referencing that episode, and that's like the first conversation that Dean has with Death. They eat, they're just eating food, and he's like, yeah, everyone gets reaped, even God. And it's like, I love that they did that flashback because I was like, I definitely never forgot that because you can't drop a line like that. And of course, that was in a sense before God showed up because that was before we knew Chuck was God. But it was just like, you can't drop a line like that and people aren't going to remember. That's a huge deal. You just can't do that. So I love that they actually just flat out played the clip like, hey, remember this? I bet you do. And if you don't, here it is. Everyone gets reaped. So I thought that was great. So I can't wait to see what this plan really is and what the weird answer to destiny is for this freaking show. But I really enjoyed the episode. I love that they brought up all the questions. I love that they referenced the fact that, that was like one of the first things the old Death actually said was like, hey, even God gets reaped. So I'm glad they talked about that stuff. And we'll see what happens. I don't, Chuck wiping out the different planets. They even, referenced tomorrow, like, well, how can we kill God? Like, that was kind of the whole point was there has to be, to balance out the darkness, there has to be light. And technically, God is that light. So will they kill him and will Jack become like God, the new God or something like that? Like, there's so many questions. But really enjoyed the episode. Can't wait to see what the next one is. Because I watched it online, I don't actually know the preview, and I forgot to look at it. But whatever it is, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it's actually next week, and we're not already going back on hiatus. That would really suck if I looked that up after this review and I found out we're already back on hiatus because they were like, oh, we're just not going to put out any more episodes until we start filming again. I don't think that'll happen. I hope we at least have like 3 or 4 episodes already lined up for us as we deal with our crazy viral isolation right now. But either way, I'll be here to do my reviews as the show comes out. Hopefully, things will be settled because this was just a weird week with how much crazier things have gotten. That's why I'm doing this review so insanely late. My reaction will hopefully be up Saturday, tomorrow, or if not, it'll be up on Sunday. But yeah, yeah, enjoyed the episode. Of course, I would love to know what you guys thought about it. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And I would love to know your predictions. I don't know if you guys have new predictions based on this episode, but I've just been confused because I've just been stuck on this weird destiny question. Like, what is right and what is wrong? Obviously, we don't know Billie's plan yet. So even then, it's like, can that change? Is that set in stone? So many questions. So I honestly right now don't have too many predictions. I'm just sure they'll win. But the thing I always hold on to is that even before the season started, they're like, not everyone's gonna be happy. So I assume somebody's gonna die. I assume it's gonna be either Sam or Dean that won't make it through this. That's like my only prediction. It's hard to say. It's so hard to say if they would kill off Cass or even Jack. That would be really interesting to bring him in and then kill him off as like the finale. So I don't know. My prediction, I just don't have anything solid right now because I'm still trying to figure out this weird destiny thing. Like, what is set in stone, what is not. So who the F knows? But I would love to know your predictions. I'm sure you guys have some. So please put them down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.